Even as the Fox network pulls an episode of Family Guy which depicted scenes eerily similar to those which unfolded during the Boston Marathon attack, pulls the episode off the air, the media is still pretending that the whole issue is a hoax. Here's an article out of Mediaite.com. Internet falls for Family Guy predicted Boston bombings hoax. Usual suspects latch on. Now, just as a reminder, there was a Family Guy episode broadcast about 3 weeks ago on March 17th. In it, it was depicted, as you can see in this screenshot. I'm not going to play the actual video because YouTube deleted it and threatened to close my account simply for playing a 10-second clip and commenting on it. That's how sensitive they are about a cartoon for some reason. It shows murdered, killed, disembodied, bloody victims at the finishing line of the Boston Marathon. Then in a later clip of this episode broadcast 3 weeks ago, it shows the main character detonating 2 bombs via a cell phone. Now, from the very start, I've said, yes, we know that those 2 separate clips are from different parts of the same episode, edited together. And you could call that misleading. You could call it whatever you like, but what you can't call it is a hoax. Because the media came out in the hours after this emerged, and they're the ones that are seemingly obsessed with it. I mean, it's a cartoon, but YouTube's deleting all the videos about it, closing people's accounts. And the media came out and said it was a hoax, didn't exist. Backed up by people erroneously claiming that these 2 separate clips were in different episodes and had been mistakenly put together. No, they're from the same episode. So all I did was put out a video saying, look at this, isn't this interesting? These scenes are very eerily similar to what happened on Monday during the actual attack. Didn't claim it was some giant conspiracy or proof of an inside job, just said that it was an interesting cultural reverberation. YouTube deleted the video, tried to threaten to close my account, gave me a strike, and then the media came out. The usual suspects picked up the story. Alex Jones's conspiracy-mongering website InfoWars had a field day. The former likely saw it as part of a vast corporate media conspiracy that was complicit in the totally scripted false flag operation known as the Boston Marathon bombing, which Jones and his cohorts likely believe was actually an organised plot by Monsanto, the cable networks, the feds, and the leaders of the New World Order. Well, for anyone who actually watched my video and the 2 subsequent videos, I said absolutely none of that. In fact, I said the opposite. I said it wasn't proof of any massive conspiracy. I merely said it was a weird, bizarre, interesting little thing that they would show scenes of Boston Marathon runners being murdered at the finish line of the marathon, in addition to the same episode, a separate scene within the same episode of 2 bombs being detonated. All I said was, look at this is weird, this is interesting. I didn't say it was part of a vast corporate media conspiracy, as Mediaite is claiming. Then, of course, the Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane came out and said that people circulating this video clip are abhorrent, are basically the devil incarnate. This is a guy who makes cartoons satirizing terrorist attacks and people being murdered at the finishing line of the Boston Marathon. And he calls us abhorrent for merely talking about it. So that came out. This wasn't enough to quell the circular logic of conspiracy mongers like Jones and his InfoWars groupies. After YouTube pulled the original hoax clip, the site's ace detective, Paul Joseph Watson, went into an elaborate theory about how the episode doesn't exist to the media and how this was an act of censorship to silence the truth. Well, yes, we covered the articles yesterday. Hollywood Reporter claiming that it was a hoax, the Family Guy hoax, even though they admit in the same video that, in the same article, that Fox has removed it from Fox.com, the broadcasting network, also Hulu.com. They admit that these scenes are in the episode, but still, it's a hoax, doesn't exist. Then there was another story out of Yahoo News saying it was a hoax. At least they admit in this one. Watson noted, it is important to note the video shows 2 clips from different points of the show edited together, but they are from the same episode, right? So I never claimed it was a massive conspiracy. I merely said that These two clips are interesting because what's portrayed in them is quite similar to what happened on Monday in real life. That's all I said. Video deleted. InfoWars attacked as abhorrent. But it's all a hoax. It still doesn't exist. No episode of The Family Guy ever aired which showed people dying at the Boston Marathon or bombs being exploded. Doesn't exist. Never happened. So if it's a hoax and it doesn't exist, or it's a complete non-issue, as the media claims, then why not only did YouTube delete my video, threaten to close my account, but why is now Fox, the network, pulling the episode of Family Guy referring to deaths at Boston Marathon, as the Washington Post admits? They're pulling it from the air and no plans to rebroadcast it. And also Hulu.com is pulling the episode. So they admit that the episode refers to deaths at the Boston Marathon, shows 2 explosive devices being detonated. They admit all that. They admit it's in the same episode, but still it's a hoax. It doesn't exist, and we're evil for talking about it. And I was very much prepared to just do a video on this saying, look, this is weird. Isn't that interesting? And then move along. Yet the reaction from YouTube, from Fox, from the media, from the creator of Family Guy has just been astounding. If they're this sensitive about a cartoon, they're willing to censor it, pull it off the air, and attack anyone who even talks about it while lying and saying it's a hoax, they're willing to censor that in the aftermath of a terrorist attack, then what are they not willing to censor? The overboard hysterical reaction to what is a cartoon has not come from, quote, conspiracy theorists, as Meteorite claims, because we never said it was the proof of a giant conspiracy. I said the exact opposite. You can go back and watch the videos. They're the ones that are... They've just gone nuts. It's hysterical, the reaction to this. And this video has not yet been pulled because I didn't play the actual clip. 206,000 views overnight within the past, 14, 15 hours. So people are wildly interested in this. I've noticed they're not pulling other versions of the Family Guy clip that have got 200, 300,000 views, but they immediately, within 3 hours, targeted InfoWars, deleted my video about it. And as I said, I was willing to just move along and say, yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Look at that, that's interesting, move along. But no, they came out and attacked us, said we were abhorrent for talking about it, said it was a hoax, that it didn't exist, even though Fox has now pulled it off the air, admitting that it does exist. And it's just crazy they would go to this length over an episode of a cartoon. And then these ridiculous leftist Obama administration apologist websites come out and throw around their little pejorative, stereotypical conspiracy terms. I must be off. It's time to gas up and jet and find some new chemical to release in the latest meteorite chemtrail flyover, while on our way to Monsanto headquarters, where we will meet with the Bilderberg Group to discuss our next plot to cover up for the New World Order and the impending United Nations gun confiscation program. So just completely sophomoric, juvenile, pejorative, stereotypical labels being thrown at people merely for talking about an episode of Family Guy. And these leftist websites try to set themselves up as some kind of watchdog for the dangerous conspiracy theorists. But if you look at actually what people are reading, it's not the likes of Media Matters, Think Progress, or Meteorite.com. It's Infowars.com. This is the traffic rank for Meteorite.com in blue and Infowars.com in red. You'll notice that Meteorite.com is sinking in traffic and being defeated in terms of readership by Infowars.com. So they're attacking us to try and get attention because we've got a bigger website than them, and that's the desperate way they're trying to get readers. But that narrative just doesn't work anymore. We're not living in the year 2000. This is 2013. People have got genuine questions about terrorist attacks, given the fact that the FBI, according to the New York Times, was complicit in basically every recent domestic terror attack in the United States, in addition to admitted government involvement in terrorist attacks in history, like Operation Gladio, which came out in the Italian Senate inquiry that it was carried out by US intelligence. We're talking about train bombings in Bologna and places like that back in the 70s and 80s. So people have got legitimate questions about this Boston Marathon attack, this tragic attack, asking questions about the drills. But then we talk about a cartoon, and the reaction is like we're Holocaust deniers or something. I mean, if it's so ridiculous, if it's such a hoax, why are they removing it from Fox? And why is this guy running around calling us abhorrent and evil for merely talking about his cartoon, when he's the one who depicted slaughtering people at the Boston Marathon and he gets a free pass? But we're bad for talking about it. We're going to be censored. We're going to be sidelined. We're going to be labelled as abhorrent conspiracy theorists, insulting to the victims, when all we did was merely say, look at this is weird. No, you're not allowed to talk about it. It's banned, it's censored. And on by the same token, it's all a hoax and doesn't exist. Even though Fox has now pulled the episode from the air and has no plans to rebroadcast it. It's a hoax, doesn't exist. You're a naughty, evil, abhorrent conspiracy theorist for even daring to mention it. How dare you? This is Paul Joseph Watson reporting for Infowars.com.